Welcome to In Sequence. It's a comics podcast for everyone. My name is Matt, and these folks are your panelists.
Hi, I'm Jillian.
I'm Robin.
And I'm Scout.
And today we're going to talk to you about Hirayasumi, volumes 1 through 3 specifically. This is a manga that has story and art done by Keigo Shinzo. And there was no one else that I could find featured in any documentation of who worked on this book.
Yeah, there's no credits, like additional credits outside of Keigo.
The back of the physical version has the translation, lettering, design, and editor.
Okay, so we're going to read this right from the back of volume 1. Translation by Jan Mitsuko Cash. That's how it's written. Mm-hmm. Touch-up art and lettering by Elena Diaz. Design by Jimmy Pressler. Editor by Holly Fisher. And this is specifically on the Viz Signature Edition book. So, Hirayasumi is a manga, and it is the story of Hiroto Ikuta, a 29-year-old fishing pond operator, and his cousin, Natsumi Kobayashi, who is an art student. The two live together in a small house left to Hiroto by Hanai Wada. This is a woman that was completely unrelated to either of them, but whom Hiroto affectionately calls Granny. The manga follows their relatively mundane lives in Asagaya, Tokyo, and the lives of their friends and acquaintances. This is certainly a manga about things like burnout, and it certainly covers a favorite topic of ours, what it means to be an artist, but it is also a manga that is simply about the smaller problems in life and the surprising complexities that they illuminate. I guess right before we started recording, we said that this was a book that basically runs on vibes, and so this episode might itself run on vibes. I'm curious to get what the vibe is coming into this episode.
For me, definitely after an extremely structured bunch of note-taking and preparation that I did for the Fullmetal Alchemist episode, coming into this and reading this and taking just a handful of notes, I was like, whoa, this feels wrong. Like I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah.
It was like a vacation for a Scout.
Yeah. It was like, it felt like a vacation to read in a lot of ways. I had a very nice time reading it and really enjoyed it. Really, it's vibes. It super is vibes, and it is, there is a softness to it in style and in writing and in content that is very nice.
I think the word that I was saying in my head is that it is almost like overwhelmingly mundane. And that's like in a positive way, but there is so much about this that I'm like, wow, that is just, this is the like slice of life to the max.
There is no other book that has been such a slice of such a life.
A slice of lice.
A slice of, that sounds hard. Yeah, it's a very like nearly frictionless experience to read this book. I think it's like, I was thinking as I read it, I was like, man, this would be a great one to read like as it's released, of just checking in that way of being like, I wonder what they're up to this month or whatever. Yeah, just very, very chill, very vibey. Just a good time all around. I have very few little bumps in the road with this one.
Yeah.
What's that scamp Hiroto up to?
That's exactly how I read this book. I pick it up whenever I remember it exists. And that's usually about like 2 volumes at a time. In fact, I have volumes 7 and 8 waiting for me on a shelf that I should decide if I'm going to take with me in my backpack to Bogota or not, or just put on the ship. But no, I picked this up because somebody in Discord recommended it to me. And I always find that it is just a really smooth read. I took volume 6 on the plane to Oklahoma last week, and I was like, oh, this will cover like not even probably half my flight, but it'll cover, a chunk of it. And instead it covered maybe half an hour on this, like 5-hour flight.
I took volume 1 I had to go to the dentist this morning, and I took volume 1 to the dentist's office to do, because, they always want you to arrive early, and then nothing ever starts on time. So I was like, oh, I'll read a little bit. And I was like, oh, I have almost finished this book in the amount of time it took me to wait for my doctor's appointment. Very brisk.
Each volume took me about 40 minutes, which is a pretty quick read for me. I'm generally at least comparatively to many of my friends, a slow reader.
Yeah, I read a lot of this reading, actually, just like walking around my apartment doing stuff. If I was like making coffee, I would just like hold it and read it for 2 minutes while my water boiled. Like it's enough to get through like a whole story in that amount of time, which is very nice.
Yeah, the chapters are pretty short too. I did my rereading today about like midday, and I was like, oh, I just forgot how quickly like an individual chunk of story goes in this book. It's not just that like it's not that it's like it's an easy read and it's a regular sized volume. There's also like 8 or 9 chapters in these things, something like that.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like the way you can just like put on like a sitcom or something on, you know, Netflix or whatever, and just like sink into it for a while. But then that comparison kind of doesn't work because there's so much more happening in like any given TV show than there is here. Like this is like just watching people go about their day. I don't know it's like turning on the otter cam at the zoo. You just kind of watch them.
Except the otters have emotions about each other, and you get like little peeks into the things that they're thinking about each other. No, yeah, I really love a lot about this book. I think it's like there is like a part of me that's like it's hard to have anything bad to say about it because it's like what would I be complaining about? I do have some gripes we can talk about in our post spoiler section.
Don't you worry, I can complain about anything.
But at the same time, I'm like I think this book is really good at, it does often tell you in literal words what people are thinking, but it's also good at using setting and art and space to imbue meaning in a scene that is not said out loud. And it's not always consistent on like which approach it's going to take, but I do love the moments when it's like a little quieter and letting the art kind of like speak for an emotional moment.
Yeah, there's an interesting use of narration in this, where sometimes characters will misunderstand each other, but then you have a narrator telling you what's actually happening. There are some spots where I found that annoying, but then there are also spots where it's like, oh, it's this kind of omniscient narrator running through it. There are points where it's sort of nice just to have like very mundane things be dramatized and be like heightened by the fact that there was someone commenting on them.
I'm 100% with you. There were times that like the narration style, just the voice of it sometimes kind of took me out a little bit because it was so simplistic and like very straightforward, but there were other times that like I did find it very like thematically appropriate for the book itself and appreciated having it a couple times. Whenever the narration like cracks a joke, that always like kind of struck me.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a thing to compare it to because I know I've read things that have like, it's close to an active narrator. The Lemony Snicket series of unfortunate events books is the thing that's coming to my head, but like there's moments where the narration is sort of like in on a joke with you that the characters aren't, and those bits are interesting to me, and it's interesting where it works and where sometimes I just feel I didn't need that. Not that I didn't need, when it's more straightforward, I'm like, I don't know that this is doing anything for me. But when it's a little more clever, then I have those moments where I'm like, oh, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. The moment with that really annoyed me was there's a scene where Natsumi is taking some photos of Hiroto to like use him as a model for her manga. And there's a like, I think she makes some comment about his is acting, right? And he looks very like sad for a moment about it. And she takes a photo and it is kind of this thing where she's worried. She's like, oh, is he feeling bad? Whatever. And then at the end, it's like the narrator is like, but he was doing fine. He was just hungry. And I was like, just let the boy have some pathos. Like I don't need to like that to be taken away.
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, he is sometimes flattened by the narration.
Yeah.
He's flattened sometimes by being the butt of the joke.
Yeah, which is interesting because he does seem to be struggling with that thing of like his acting career. And so in that instance to be like, don't worry about it. He just needed a sandwich. I was like, what? Why?
Well,
let's dig into this.
Yeah, it did feel kind of like taking a step back and saying, no, we are not having conflict in this story.
Yeah.
I was like, give me a little bit, like give me a little something. But I'm just not a huge slice of life person unless like it is based upon an existing property. Like the reason I really liked our previous one of our previous reads, Wayne Family Adventures, is kind of slice of life, and I liked that because I'm like, I already know these characters and I just want to see them doing their own thing. and I'll read like slice of life fan fiction, but going into a slice of life story is like very out of the ordinary for me. Like an original one.
To be very generous, sometimes I do feel really bad because I just need a sandwich.
That is also true.
True.
But I agree, in the case of storytelling here, it feels like it steals a moment from Hiroto that he probably deserves to have.
Yeah, that's kind of the feeling I was having. It's just like, give him a little more depth in that. You know, like in the manga of Scout's life, you'll be a little more like introspective than you really are. You know, that's how it is for all of us.
That's a very introspective character because I am already way more introspective than I need to be.
It's funny because I think we often come on here and talk about consistency and inconsistency a lot. And it's because I think there are often times in this book where it does let there be that space to have a little more complication. It's actually something I really enjoy about this book. I think it's like particularly good at that when it does it well. But then other times it just kind of like tramples on it.
Yeah. I think it does that well between characters often, where like I like that just because it is a very gentle story doesn't mean everyone is just chill. Like there are like fights, people are like yelling at each other. It's like people speak their minds and like have conflicts. And I did appreciate that it wasn't like the way to do a story that is like chill and feels nice is just to have everyone get along and everything's good. Like there's misunderstandings, there's all of that stuff going on. And I think it works interpersonally often more than it does with that kind of like narrator voice.
Well, specifically like Natsumi is 18 and a new student, right? And Hiroto is 30 and like sure he's like in a moment where he has sort of reinvented his life and started over, right? But like they have different life experiences and are going to clash and do clash often. And that provides some of those like smaller pieces of drama that move things forward, but it's not the level. Reading this, I often was contrasting it to how, for example, because Natsumi is in art school, I was like, oh, this is really interesting comparison to Blue Period.
I was doing the same thing.
Yeah. Specifically because, I mean, like Yaguchi is like thinking way too deeply and is like way too intense on everything he's encountering in that series. I mean, Natsumi's just a different person, but also like this book would never have that character in it. That person just can't exist. And that's kind of part of the genre as well, right? Like this is a seinen book, not a shonen book. I will say this is my second read of these 3 volumes, and I think the standout for me in this read was basically everything about Natsumi. I just really enjoyed and vibed with like most of her story. I was like really interested in her struggle with becoming a mangaka and trying to sell manga versus just draw manga that she was interested in. I was interested in like even just like the basics of like not being kind of the rich popular kid at art school. And I was especially interested in her friendship with Akari. Those were the things that I kept like latching on to in this reread.
And her jackets.
Her jackets.
Her jackets
I did not take screenshots, but this is like spiritually the return of Fashion Corner in this book. Everything that Natsumi wears is so good.
I'm so glad Fashion Corner's back.
The whole time I was reading this, I kept seeing outfits and going, Robin's going to love this.
Yes. Everything Natsumi wears, I'm like, that's really cool. And everything Akari wears, I was like, I want to be able to wear that.
She looks so good in her little overalls.
I love all their shirts with just like ingredients on them.
Yeah, the fish shirt on the cover.
I just want to say
so
the fish
good.
shirt, the one that just says wonderful.
Yeah, oh man, amazing. There's a panel transition very early on that's like Natsumi at home in like pajamas, standing in this very like almost like toddler posture where she kind of has her arms out to her side, and then cut to the same posture but at school where she's going to a party, and so she's dressed cool instead of in her pajamas, and both outfits are like so spot on.
And she's wearing a shirt that says gyoza.
I want the gyoza shirt so bad. There's also a lot of funny panels of her like around the other college kids, and she looks like a little kid, which is just like is, you know, emphasizing just kind of her being out of place. And yeah, they make her like teen teeny tiny in the panel where everyone else looks like, you know, basically an adult. It's just like such a funny effect to do a couple of times in this book.
She looks like a middle schooler at college sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Natsumi is great. I just in general, I really liked her as well. And yeah, her relationship with Akari, if this isn't supposed to be her queer awakening, then someone is fucking up.
Yeah,
I'll eat my
clearly, like when she's like, I've never had these, you know, with that guy, she's like, I don't feel that way. Maybe I should. And there's something directly with Akari. Oh, she's like, she's talking about how cool Akari is. Yeah. And she's like, she's out of my league. Wait a minute. Why did I think that?
Why did I think that? And it's like,
girl. But they're so cute. Their relationship is so cute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love the panel. And I'm just going to like call it here for the listener because I feel like I don't really know how to break this episode into spoilers and non-spoilers. Yeah. So I think from now on, we're just going to assume that we're talking about the whole book. So if you want to read it, I promise you it's a quick read. It's on the Viz Manga app. You can go to your library and find it. There's a moment where later on, Akari has developed feelings for Yamada, and basically Natsumi has this whole breakdown on like, why did I never think about it in that way? And she's like, I wonder why. And I was like, girl, you wonder why? It's obvious to me.
I could tell you why.
You talk about how hot your best friend is all the time.
All the time. She's so pretty. Like, she's so beautiful.
Yeah, relatable. Actually, that is one of that panel specifically was one of the times that the narration like genuinely made me like actually laugh out loud, because she's got this like inner monologue going on, and then the narration has a little speech bubble that says, for those short on time, please feel free to skip this panel.
I did take a screenshot of that.
It's so funny to me because it's a panel of a manga. Like, how much time is that going to save you?
It's very good. I really like that.
That line with Natsumi and Yamada in particular, I just read a novel called Sunburn, which is about a girl learning she has feelings for her friend, and like it's her like gay awakening or whatever. And so much, it's like written in first person from her. And so much of what she talks about is like, I'm sure soon I will start having feelings for boys. Like, this must just be, you know, I'm late developing. Surely this will happen soon. And so when Natsumi was like, why have I never thought this before? Probably I'll eventually have feelings for this guy. I was like, girl, no, you will not.
I really, really hard to that. When I was like 13, I would walk around like my youth group building trying to understand like why people talked about like girls the way that they did.
Just like studying.
And like why it didn't work for me that way. And I literally did not come to me until I was 19. It took me a full 6 years. But
like you're on a nature documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is appealing about them?
This is also that all feels very real to the Ace experience too, just like kind of across the board.
Yeah. I'm glad we all relate.
Yeah.
Oh man, I just sent you all an image in our chat of the guy from the fishing pond looking like
I just noticed he's wearing a Yankees cap.
I was gonna say, why is he wearing a Yankees cap? That's so funny.
They love American baseball caps
and a camo hoodie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's just making a cute face because I think they're looking at the baby. I think they're looking at Hideki's baby.
They're looking at Hideki's baby.
How do we feel about Hideki?
Oh, he's annoying.
Man.
What's
fucking
going
shitty
on?
Husband. He's like that the sitcom stereotype
extremely
husband.
I can't figure out what the author wants us to think of Hideki.
Well, so here's the thing is when I looked up the author earlier for this, I found that he looks a lot like Hideki.
Oh no!
Like that's very funny.
They make fun of his mouth shape a decent amount in the book.
He is the only one with a very significant mouth.
And the cheekbones. He scared me a little bit when he...
Incredible.
Interesting.
I'm looking this up now. I need to see.
He is like almost drawn in a different comic. Yeah, like that's
wow.
Yeah.
He feels different, like style-wise. The first time I saw him, I was like, this man doesn't feel like he belongs here.
Yeah, he's giving handsome Squidward.
He is giving handsome Squidward. Yeah. No, every time he was in there, I was like, this is like, he's very much like just the stereotypical, like, like literally just the stereotype of a husband who's like, I'm babysitting the kid that is my child.
He does have a moment where he says like, I help. And I was like, oh, and we're just like running through.
And his wife is like, barely. She is so out of his league.
Also, I was shocked they gave her good characterization, because I was expecting, because he was such a trope, that she would be this trope of this like mean, angry, bitter,
No,
mom.
but she's so sweet.
But she was great.
I love her.
Yeah, I love that as soon as she showed up, Natsumi is like, you're my new best friend. Like, she just latches onto her so much. It's like, Hideki, that asshole. It's just like, them hanging out is so funny.
It kept getting to these moments where I was like, okay, this is like the moment when Hideki's characterization comes into focus and we have empathy for him. And then some other bullshit happens and I'm like, no, we're right back to Hideki kind of sucks, actually.
Yeah.
Weird homoerotic, like 2-page spread with Hideki thinking about Hiroto too. Maybe it's the Fujoshi glasses, but that shit surprised me.
How many pairs do you have?
And confused me. I'm looking for it. I think it's in volume 2.
That's the only one I don't have physical.
I'm double. Here it is. Yeah. It's volume 2. It's in chapter 12 when he has this moment of like, I can't, when I'm with Hiroto, I can't help but have so much fun. And it's like him driving and there's all of these photos of their life together.
Yeah.
That line specifically, I was like, okay, maybe this is where the story is going.
So I just don't know I don't know what to make of him. I keep thinking something deeper is going to happen and then it doesn't.
I feel like it probably won't.
I kind of like that he's not like a straight up villain. He's just like Hiroto's shitty friend from high school. Like he's not a bad enough person to stop hanging out with him, but is kind of a jerk. And even Hiroto was like, yeah, he's kind of a jerk. Like, he's fun to hang out with. It's just a very realistic dynamic.
And he's like, because he's a jerk, I can call him out on it.
Yes,
It's like, totally. He's just like that annoying guy that you kind of still hang around with because he's not like the worst, but
the scenes with Hideki actually do give us some of the depth that I'm looking for in Hiroto, though. Like specifically, like when he does call him out on his shit in the background, Natsumi's like, God damn. And finally you're like, oh, you're not just like passively enjoying your life,
Yeah.
Which is,
he's got thoughts in his head.
Yeah, which is what Tachibana accuses him of a lot. Although she's got some other issues going on.
Yeah.
I like Hiroto a lot. I felt a deep connection to him. I think maybe this is what being in your early 30s is. Maybe this is what living in 2026 is. But seeing him with like a low pressure job that gives him just enough money to get by and saves him just enough energy to go home and like make a nice dinner. I see that and I'm like, man, that would hit so good.
It's so inspirational. I was like, I want to work at the fishing pond.
Yeah,
I want to work at the fishing pond.
It's nice.
I think it's literally the fantasy of like that like keeps me coming back to this book.
Yeah, totally.
Especially since I've been so burnt out in the last couple of years with work. I don't know. It's not surprising to me that like this book where like mostly nothing happens and the main character just like works at a fishing pond is in like maybe some of my like top 5 reads. I don't know. I find it so comforting.
Yeah. That being said, I am also waiting for the moment when he stops dissociating and all of his anxieties hit him all at once.
Yeah.
I feel like it's got to be coming at some point.
Yeah, I do want him to like try to find something else to do with his time. Not that like the life he's living is like bad or like it seems really nice, but just like in terms of like reading the story, I was like, do you want anything else? Like, is it really just this? I think part of it's like the passivity of it. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think this is starting you also mentioned Tachibana. I think this is starting to run up against where Hiroto that passivity does start to get frustrating when it is contrasted with her. Like you have a question in the notes, what do we we think about Tachibana. And I think this manga is like on the verge, I think, of treating her really poorly.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think when she and Hiroto are interacting is when I start to get really nervous, because there are parts of this where it seems like it's setting up to be like, they're going to get together and he's going to fix her because she's like so busy and has no time for any. I think she is like very busy and is like ignoring a lot of like other things in her life. But it does seem to be a setup to be like, Hiroto knows how to live life and she doesn't. And he has to like teach her how to be a full person. And I get frustrated when it starts feeling that way, because it's like he inherited a free house and never has to pay rent again. And like she does. And like not everyone gets to do that. Yeah, I don't know. And those are the moments when I see him butting up against people who have more like, I guess, realistic ways of living. It starts to feel like it's not like a problem with how he is portrayed or like him as a character, but it is sort of like there are these feelings I get sometimes where it seems like the mangaka is presenting him as like, this is how you should live life. And it just seems a little bit like, well, we can't, because we don't all have like a Hanewada in our life.
Yeah, it's like kind of a narrative dissonance there of like, this is our protagonist. This is the guy that we're like in narrative generally. We are supposed to root for and understand this guy. And he lives such a different life than I would say most actual people would.
Yeah.
I think that's why when I want to see more complication from him, I think that's why, because then he will feel like, I want this to not look like this total ideal situation. You know, like I'll be able to relate to him more if he has like some anxiety. Yeah.
I don't want to like give too much away, but I will say the book does know that is a problem and starts to address it in ways that are like, I think, hit or miss for me personally. It's very similar to a lot of other things I feel about the book, which is like I really enjoy it, and also I don't know that it's like always the most well-crafted thing.
Yeah.
The times I get worried with Tachibana are, I think she's often written in this like misogynist way that is just like kind of stereotypical. There's that whole chapter about her like gaining weight.
Yeah, that was bad. It was a little, but like that to me was just like the kind of peak of like a narrative thing that he does with her that is, I'm just like hoping it doesn't go the direction that those stories often go. I'm 6 of these volumes in personally, and like I still don't think I've seen any resolution to that. In fact, it's setting her up with the minimalist renter that she meets from the real estate agency, and like that has not even resolved in the 6 volumes that I've read. I think the ideal scenario for both of these people that like I think there's room to tell an interesting story would be that like Hiroto has a complication that he goes through that is unrelated to Tachibana. Tachibana has the complication of getting together with the author minimalist guy that they very clearly are not going to work together. Well, in the version of it I would write. And then they come together as changed people after that in some way. Yeah. And it's not a thing of one person fixing another, but it is instead about like, you know, coming together and releasing your ties to the things you think you need in the world and in your life, right? Which would be pretty like in line with the other themes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which I think is why I like her with the author, because they're both weirdos, but in completely opposite. Like I think the chapter where they meet is called Polar Opposites, and it's like they're so opposed that it just makes them really funny interacting together. And it doesn't see, and I think that avoids the thing of like I forget his name even, but the author, he is not the protagonist. He is not positioned as having this charmed life. He is not someone you're supposed to emulate. And so it doesn't seem like his way of life is the good one and hers is the chaotic one or whatever. Yeah. That like allows her to kind of be more of a person in that relationship, at least from what's, you know, in the first 3 volumes.
And in fact, she's shown as more happy than the author, like pretty outwardly, right?
Yeah.
And I just relate to a messy queen, you know?
Yeah, I do too.
I did think there was kind of an interesting thing when we see a little bit of the author, Ryo Ishikawa. We see a little bit of Ishikawa's backstory, and it kind of parallels the stuff with Hiroto.
Yeah.
In ways that I thought was kind of interesting, and I wonder if there's anything that's going to sort of go along with that. I was dealt psychic damage as soon as he was introduced, because the guy who everybody is scared of, but then actually is just really, really socially anxious, is an extremely like scout archetype of a character.
Yeah.
Scout, has there been any book we've read so far that you don't have a cameo in? I feel like every time we read, you're like, that one's me.
I don't know, man. Perhaps I see myself in too many things. Matt, you can't hide the note that you wrote. You thought he was creepy when he was introduced. I want to know more about this.
I think he comes off as a serial killer in his first few panels.
Oh my gosh.
That's the point of the joke, though, right?
No, for sure.
The
they're like painting over the lenses in his glasses, and or not. I guess not. Yeah. They're not drawing the details, right? But like that's the joke. And also, I was like, "What are we doing? I'm very worried for your safety." But I also do love that, like, we get the scenes inside his head. I think a chapter or two later, where he was just, where he's just like obsessed with her and he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I just love her showing him around the apartment and doing the like just weaponizing her like being attractive and like, you know, being like an attractive woman. I can't reach the light switch. Like, it's just so funny.
Weaponizing
so
cutesy girl. It's really good.
Amazing.
She's very good at her job.
She's incredible.
Very good at her job.
I will say I think that the parts of this book, unfortunately, are few and far between, these specific bits, because the conceit of the book is that she is dead. I loved every like scene of Granny, and as well as like Granny and Hiroto, but I also really liked the moments where she is alone and is like, why am I so mean to people? Like, why am I like this?
I love that she's a character. Like I was not expecting to get as much characterization of her. Like once she dies in the first, issue or whatever, I was like, oh, that's just a setup. But like, she's a good character. I really like her
character.
And like, how often do you even see characters of like women of her age, like at all? And for her to get like a personality, I was so happy with her.
The scene where he finds the pressed hydrangeas, that got me. Yeah. I will say. But I found her so like charming, despite being like a grumpy old woman. Again, like I hang out with old ladies all the time. So like I was very much like, oh man, I like this lady. I like her a lot. And it's so nice to like see how she is very much like a lot of these characters have very distinct archetypes. And I think, like grumpy old person who finds one kid that they begrudgingly like fall into some sort of like companionship with is definitely one of those. But I think it's done really well. And I really liked seeing her, like the way that she takes care of him. And she's like, well, since you're here, I guess I may as well make you dinner. Just always was so like charming to me.
Yeah. She's I really want to see more of her. She's like maybe my favorite character, to be honest. She's great. No. I also love there's a part where she is like, it's like early on after meeting Hiroto, and she's like wondering if he is like scamming her. He's like, is this a new kind of scam? And then I forget what he even does, but it's something really like just like empty-headed, and she's like, oh, you're the one who's gonna get scammed. Like, I need to watch out for you.
She's like, oh, I need to protect you. Okay.
There's two moments I really love. I love the scene where he finds out that she's in the hospital because she broke her arm, and he just like runs through the storm to get to the hospital.
Yeah, he fell in the pond, right? Because he was rushing. He fell in the fish pond.
Yeah. And I love the one you were actually referencing, Robin, which is the chapter, I think it's in volume 3, where she's having a bad day and she goes to the grocery store and she thinks she hears someone call her Granny, but it's not her. And then like seconds later, it actually is Hiroto calling her name.
Yeah.
And she's kind of beating herself up in that chapter a lot for being a mean old lady, right? And like cannot figure out why it is that her like gut reaction to people is often to tell them off or to be angry. And then she like comments on the fact that like when Hiroto's around, she doesn't do that, right? right? Like he's the person that like that's not her instinct with. That I don't know. I love it. Just like warms my heart.
I rode the scooter with him. I like that she rode on the back of the scooter, even though she was like, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, I'll go get you the helmet.
I like also that she's like, he's fine with like riding a scooter with an old crone. It's very funny.
I just think it's so cool that this author is, and I mean the author of this book, not the author in the book, is willing to characterize her for things that are realistic for an old person to like have problems with. Like you would start to internalize the things that, the ways that people treat you, right? And it's an interesting way to give her interiority and a problem to deal with, and also a way to like take a dive into a trope rather than like try and do something that feels unnatural.
Yeah, it's a lot of character study of a particular archetype in interesting ways rather than just playing like the archetypal hits.
I'm looking at this that issue now. And she wakes up in the morning and says, good grief, guess my number is still not up, huh?
It's like me every day.
Brutal.
Exactly. I was like, yeah, all right. And then she gets up and does her stretches, and she's so good.
And she makes herself a breakfast, and she gardens and does calligraphy, and then she's like, okay, time for a nap.
It's
like, honestly, she's living a great life too.
The ways in which she kind of, in these ways that like Natsumi doesn't know, has clearly shaped Hiroto's day-to-day also really affects me. The way that like she isn't there and Natsumi never met her, but she is still there in Hiroto in all of these ways, and in the house and in like his habits, because he gets up and he does the stretches every morning because he started doing them with her. And then Natsumi starts doing the stretches with him, you know?
Well, and even when he first brings Natsumi back to the house, she's like, why is it so clean? He's like, well, Granny kept it clean. So like, I'm keeping it clean.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of Radio Taiso. Are we aware of this concept?
No.
I'm aware of it enough to like when I see it represented here, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a thing that happens, but not enough that I know that it's called Radio Taiso.
So I was not aware of it when I read this for the first time, but it's basically like a morning stretching routine that radio stations, but also now like YouTube channels and podcasts will basically have like an audio narration of a stretching routine. And it's something in Japan that like it's just a cultural thing now. Like people know Radio Taiso, and so they all do the same stretches.
And has been going on for like decades, right?
Yeah, several decades. And I was introduced to it specifically because of the game Blippo Plus.
Dude, I was gonna say, this made me think of Blippo Plus.
Yeah, so it is like that is absolutely referencing Radio Taiso.
Totally.
Anyway, there's a show within the game Blippo Plus that is doing something based on Radio Taiso. Yes. And when I was researching that game for the video I did on it, that's how I learned about it. And so having done that video now, it was fun to go back and read this. And like on the front cover of the first volume, they're doing Radio Taiso.
They are.
I also know of this from a like 1980s musical, like movie musical called The Apple. It's like an infamously terrible movie that I love so much. And they have like a sort of parody of the radio workout thing where like this corporation has taken over everything and has what the corporation's called BIM, and they have BIM hour where everyone has to get up and do the same calisthenics, and it's like required by law.
Incredible.
So that's my only other association with Radio Taiso.
Robin, I have to watch this movie. Holy shit.
I love this movie. It's incredible.
There's a whole history of like the reason that PE in the United States became so sports based is specifically because calisthenics became too communist in American heads. But I can't take us down that rabbit hole, but it's the thing I think of immediately.
I had no idea. That's crazy. Man, would we have like gym bros if that hadn't happened?
I don't know. There's a knock-on effect.
MAGA people, like swole MAGA people. Anyway,
society. If we had Radio Taiso stuff.
If we had Radio Taiso.
There are like There is some anime I know that is basically that, right? I see it occasionally when I'm just looking at Crunchyroll. It's like there's like a 2-minute long episodes that are just like calisthenics routines. I feel like this is a thing. I don't think I'm making this up.
I love that.
That sounds fun.
I'm looking up anime calisthenics. I don't see anything. I swear
I'm not making this up.
I believe
Someone will know.
Tell us. Get in the comments. Get in the Discord.
Anyway.
I'm not going to scroll through Crunchyroll.
Yeah, not worth it. Do you want to talk art? We haven't really touched on art.
Oh, yeah, we haven't really touched on art.
I did want to mention, like, one of the things that, like, did keep me kind of, like, grounded in this book is I love how soft everybody's faces are. I was like, I want to squish everyone's cheeks. They're all so cute.
I kept being really struck by the lack of structural lines when characters are in profile. Like, about half of the facial features are basically only implied when a character is in profile, sort of the bridge of the nose and the upper lip kind of go away. And that kept really sticking out to me just as a stylistic choice that I liked a lot. I think there's a lot of really good use of line breaks to imply form and overlap in this art style in ways that I really appreciate.
I noticed that a lot in the house in particular, just because there's like just so much stuff. It's so busy and so cluttered, but it does such a good job of like knowing where to stop, like the tiles on the wall or whatever, like there's so much, like you said, so much implied that just shows like, I don't know. I love the density of like all of their living spaces. There's just so much character in like every room, and it does it without ever feeling like it's like the art itself is getting too cluttered or too overwhelming. And I think it's partially because of that, like breaking the lines.
Yeah, this page is page 78 in volume 1. I remember looking at this and just it's Natsumi has just woken up and like the light is pouring in and there's basically no lines on the front of her face, and also there's that big light, so her face is the same shade as the wall, but you can still tell that it's her. You can still tell where her face ends and the wall begins.
Yeah, I generally just really love this art. It feels very alive in ways that I just don't really can't describe necessarily, but it just feels, it feels very soft, but also just very active in so many ways. And you put a note here with the 2-page spreads that are used pretty sparingly throughout, but every time there was one, like there's one of, I think Hiroto and Natsumi walking through a downpour that is, they all make me want to like be there. Like there's such a good sense of space in all of them. It's so gorgeous. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I also love the one they're walking at night through the city trying to get home.
Yes. Every time there is one of those big 2-page spreads, you're right, Robin. They're used not very often, but when they are used, they hit so good.
They're really
and really exemplifies the ways that the environments, not just like the house, it's the house they live in, it's the apartment that Tachibana lives in, it is the city, the area of Tokyo that they're in. All of that is also characterized in a particular way.
Yeah, there's just so much detail. Like not detail within objects, but detail like within the scene. There's just so much stuff of like just coffee mugs and stuffed animals throughout the house, or like random, people and cars. And it's just like, it just feels like just so like you really feel like you're getting just a peek into this world where they happen to be inhabiting. It's not like the world is not just orbiting around them. Like they are part of the setting in a real way that feels just like, I'm just pulling up a random panel. Here's in volume 1 when Natsumi and Akari are first meeting and having their first lunch together. All that's happening in the panel is them sitting on a bench and just like talking. And in the back, there's like half a dozen different posters for stuff going on at the school. There's a cat taking a nap in the foreground, a random person walking by. It just feels like life is happening all around them. And I really like that. Just made me really enjoy just really taking in every panel.
Yeah. The 2-page spread in them walking at night, that's in volume 1 here, like a really good example. It has a really good example of this, I think, which is that they're walking past this wall, and it's not just that it's a sort of just like a pedestrian safety wall or whatever. It has this mural on it that you can see, and that adds so much character.
It's
It's really good.
I realized that I didn't say something earlier on, which was that a core interest that I have in this book, or like had rereading it, is specifically around like Hiroto's quitting acting. Mm-hmm. And I specifically love that, like, we learn, right? Actually, we learn kind of early. And then that just gets deepened like 2 or 3 times as Natsumi gets closer to different characters that can tell her. I just like, it's a specific way that this book manages to turn something mundane into something that I want to know more about. Because you know that first time, okay, it's got to be deeper than this. This is a deeper person than I quit acting because I couldn't be around the pretty ladies, right? Like, I'm sure that's part of it. He is that simple, but at the same time, it's clear when you're reading that like this is a book where there's a bigger reason. He wouldn't just like quit his career for that. And like, I don't know, it's an example of the kinds of things that pull me through this book. Akari's sort of budding relationship with Yamada is another one of those that I find myself caring about as that story progresses as well past the stuff that we've read. Yeah,
on the Hiroto quitting acting thing, I also love that when she finally gets more details from it, it's from Hideki, so she can't tell if he's lying or not.
Right, it literally could all be fabricated.
Yeah.
Another thing I really like about Natsumi is we mentioned it briefly, but the stuff of her being really interested in manga and wanting to become a mangaka. I just always find there's a particular charm to a mangaka that loves to write about characters who are also mangaka. And the part of the charm is that it happens over and over and over again. And I see it so often. And every time I really like it. And I like to see the different perspectives on it, etc. We don't get too much of that here, aside from that, like, by the end of these 3 volumes, she is working on her debut one-shot. I do like grumpy old man editor.
Who signed Fumi the Ninja Cat?
Very important. Not to be doing all of this stuff at 18. I mean, I know that it's part of it is just storytelling, but I see her doing all this stuff and I'm like, I couldn't fucking do that. I couldn't go somewhere by myself and talk to a guy about manga. And but at 18, no way.
We see that like editor mangaka relationship in a lot of things we've read. I also have seen it in some stuff that we haven't read on the podcast, but I've read personally too. One day we'll read Tokyo These Days, which is just about that. That's the whole book.
Cool.
Neat.
Anything else?
I think I've said everything that I've got.
This episode really has been just vibes in a good way.
Yeah.
A very low-key episode. Low-key episode for a low-key manga.
If you're looking for something low-key, calming, this is definitely the book to pick up. I believe there's 8 English volumes. I believe 9 have been published in Japan.
The 9th one comes out May 19th.
Yeah.
In the US, which is, I think, around the time that this episode comes out.
Oh, yeah. It will be in about 4 weeks. So definitely check it out if it sounds interesting. I am really curious to get into further reading. I am really curious to check out the anime adaptation that comes out next year. I have heard good things about the live action adaptation that came out last year. I don't think any of the same creative teams are involved in any way other than the mangaka, who I know is involved in both. But I don't know. If you've got one good adaptation, maybe you'll have a second. I am really curious to, in many of the same ways that I am with books like Witch Hat Atelier or This Summer Hikaru Died. This book is doing interesting artistic things, making artistic choices that I'm curious to see how they'll be represented in an anime. Like, for example, those profiles without like lines to define them. Like, how does that work in animation? I don't know.
How does it work in color even? You know?
Curious to see what that looks like. Also, if you have read Hirayasumi and are looking for other things to read, one that I keep getting recommended when I'm just like Googling to like Hirayasumi either for this episode or just out of my interests is Skip to Loafer by Masaki Takamatsu. I don't know anything about that book. I cannot tell you anything, but it does get recommended alongside Hirayasumi a lot. The mangaka Keigo Shinzo also has a book called Tokyo Alien Bros, which I know, again, next to nothing about, but I have picked it up off the shelf many times, intending to buy it and then bought something else. But I have heard talk about it.
I actually kept thinking an anime kept coming to mind as I read this called Sakura Quest, which is a show that I love. It's also a slice of life, although it has a lot more like sort of narrative direction than this. It's like a woman who just graduates college, wants to be an actress, and ends up getting a job as like the mascot of a rural town. And it's just like slice of life about like her and like the other like women who work at like the tourist board. It's really fun. But one of the characters used to be an actor and moved out here, like quit acting and moved out here and is kind of struggling with that. And I just kept thinking about that as I read this, especially in that plot line with Hiroto. So similar vibes, all despite having a little more like clear-cut plots in Sakura Quest.
Mm-hmm. I have never read or watched this, but it has been recommended to me by people who like really enjoy how like calm and slice of life it is. But Yuri Camp is also another one that's like,
I love Yuri.
Super chill vibes from what I have I know.
I don't remember what episode Yuri Camp came up in recently, but Robin, I think you've mentioned it previously.
Yeah, I really like it.
Also known as Laid Back Camp if you're looking for English.
Yes.
Oh, I wish I could remember under what circumstances it was brought up before, but I shout out to Yuri Camp / Laid Back Camp.
And there was one you had here, Scout, as well.
Yeah, I think Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You by Janushi has a very similar, like, the minor dramas of everyday life vibe going on. A lot of that is focused around the employees of a chain supermarket and the nonsense that they get up to. And then also there's the most exhausted man that you've ever met. I really like Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You. So would definitely recommend that. I think it's a fun read, and it's also deeply funny.
But I'm always down for more recommendations for slice of life manga or anime. So definitely hit us up in the Discord and tell us what your favorite slice of lives are. Slices of life. There you go.
Yeah.
Slice of lives.
Slice of lives.
You can read Hirayasumi on the Viz Manga app if you would like, or you can go to your local library or bookstore or local comic shop and get it there. In Sequence is a member of The Worst Garbage. You can find our network at theworstgarbage.online, and you can find the show at insequence.pictures. Panelists, got anything to share with the listeners this week?
You can find me at plottwists.card.co for any of my general things. In terms of specifics, throwback to our Witch Hat episode, the anime is currently airing and it's very good. Go watch it.
Find me on Blue Sky at Robin Bombas, and I don't know, go read Sunburn that I mentioned earlier if you want to hear about lesbians more.
You can find me on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Humble Goat. You can see the art that I do, including our podcast cover art at scoutwilkinson.myportfolio.com. And if we're doing random media recommendations here, I just read Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen for the first time, and I had a great time.
Hell yeah.
You can find my stuff at youtube.com/@flowstatekrit or matthorton.live if you want to see more than just YouTube videos. And what is a random media recommendation? I haven't been watching or there are a lot of other things because I've been trying to pack up my life to leave the country.
Yeah, you recommend moving.
Maybe you too should pack up your life and leave the country.
Play Monster Hunter Stories 3. That's what I'll go with. I'm enjoying that game. It's a good time. Yeah. Mostly a turn your brain off game, but still having a great time with it.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to this show. We appreciate you coming and joining us and downloading our podcast and reading along with us. But if you want to do anything, please support your local library and your comic shop, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
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 Garbage, the online